All right, everybody.
What is
Welcome
good?
back.
What is good? Let's get into this. Welcome everybody to the Curtain Call podcast. I'm your boy, the Spanish Fly. Along with me, always my tag team partner, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nacho himself. Nacho, tell him what's up, man. What's good?
What's up, everybody? I hope you're keeping cool in this heat wave that's hitting us.
Man,
And I know it's been a while. We've had some separate schedules that kept us away, but hopefully now we will be back for the foreseeable future. And especially with the way things are going on the episodes, so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about, Nacho. We're not going to waste any time. Let's jump right into it because I know what everybody wants to talk about. And of course, to keep you interested, we're going to wait to the very end of this show to talk about it. But I promise you it won't be a long show because me and Nacho have decided we're going to keep this really short and quick because we want to be able to expand on the ending of Monday Night Raw. But what a Raw it was from Corpus Christi, Texas. Man, did they get a treat last night? Did they deserve it? That's something we're going to talk about as well. But Nacho, let's get right into it, man. What's on the docket?
Go. Starting off, something I definitely didn't have on my bingo card.
No,
The
sir.
show takes off and the intro cuts to black and white. And already I'm a little thrown off. And then all of a sudden you hear the music hit. And I'm thinking, there's no way we are getting Seth Rollins right now. But sure enough, he walked out in his Kentucky Derby looking outfit, doing his little dance. I wasn't complaining. I was so excited to see him back again. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be the first one to tell you that by WrestleMania, I was already over Seth. I was all tired of the I said, oh my God. I'm so done with this song. I'm so done with it. Then he left, and when his music hit last night, I admit I was the first one. Oh, it's amazing how absent makes the heart grow fonder. And man, it felt good to see Seth freaking Rollins, Mr. I guess you could call him Mr. Monday Night, because I mean that's who he is. He was back in full effect. Nice segment. I like that Damian Priest is standing on his 2 feet, calling his shots.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be really interesting going in to Money in the Bank. Damian Priest was like, you know what? Forget the qualifying part. Let's me and you have at it. And I think this is good for Damian because there are a lot of people that still consider him as a transitional champion.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, like going off of what you said, I'm just glad he's able to stand on his 2 feet because that spot that he took, whatever you want to call it, if the ropes were loose or just a pure accident, I think he's super lucky to even be able to stand up because that was crazy. We were standing up, afraid that the match was about to have to be stopped. Applaud to him for like just playing out the rest of the match, playing into it, finishing it out, and not letting that hold him back because I think that definitely at least sold me more on him being a full-on champion and not a transitional champion as people have been calling him. So if you aren't already convinced that he is a champion on his own, I don't know what else he has to do for you to prove that.
Yeah, Nacho, man. I mean, we could have been Money in the Bank this year could have been for the World Heavyweight Championship instead of a contract because I thought for sure the way he was hanging and man, Damian's a big dude. He's a heavy dude as well.
Yeah.
The way his leg was bent, legs should not be bent like that. I mean, but hey, he is a great athlete. I mean, if it would have been my leg like that, it would have probably been shattered. Your leg would have probably been shattered. But these guys are such great athletes. He can have something like that happen and it not be major to him as it would be for a common guy, one of us off the street. So hats off to Damian Priest, El Campeón. And boy, I love the way, on a personal note, I love the way he represents, not so much represents, but I love the way he wears his Puerto Rico pride on his sleeve. Every one of his ring outfits, his ring gear, his jacket, whatever it is, he's always representing Puerto Rico. He's always wearing that badge of honor, and for a fellow Puerto Rican, that's pretty cool because we don't get a lot of world heavyweight champions, and that's the truth. If you look at it, typically we get a lot of tag team champions. I mean, yeah, people want to say Pedro Morales, but nobody that's under the age of 49 remembers Pedro Morales being the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. So typically it's just tag team champions that we get. The Colognes, Carlito as your United States champion, but to see Damian hold the world title as a Puerto Rican, a fellow Hispanic, I think that's pretty cool. I think the last time we had someone like that, Hispanic holding the title, what can you say? Maybe Alberto Del Rio, maybe? I mean, even though technically Seth is of Hispanic descent, but they definitely don't talk about that. But it's cool. Damian doing a really good job, man. He's definitely, to me, not a transitional champion, man. I'm excited to see this match, too. See what they do.
Yeah, totally. All righty. Moving on from that one, we had a not surprising, I guess, but we had an entrance from Drew McIntyre. We heard a lot of crowd reaction. Everybody was chanting CM Punk based on what happened on Saturday at Clash in the Castle. Personally, I wanted Drew to win the title, but this is what I said to my brother, because my brother almost walked out. I think when we were watching it with him, he almost headed out of there when CM Punk showed up as the special guest referee, and I had to explain to him, if they were going to do this, they did it in the most perfect way possible. It made me almost happier that it happened this way, because it almost builds that rivalry more. That being said, did they build the rivalry too much on one side? Because when Drew McIntyre walks out, he cuts to the chase very quickly, and he says, "Screw this company, I quit." What was your thoughts when he called it quits on WWE?
You know, it reminded me, I don't know if you ever saw the episode of Monday Night Raw when Batista lost to Rey Mysterio. He comes out to the middle of the ring and he says he quits, throws the microphone down, and he left. He actually did leave. Even though, yes, it was a storyline, but he was done with the company. He was going to go make movies. I love seeing this. I loved it even more when Drew took everything off of social media. I love that. Kayfabe, baby. I love it. Just keep going with it. Look, man, CM Punk is such a baby face that there were people cheering for him in Scotland, in Drew's hometown, home country. There were people cheering for him for what he did. He is such a master baby face. Now I think that Heat needs to get right back on Drew McIntyre. He has to do something. Because CM Punk said at the press conference, I told Drew that as long as I'm around, as long as I'm in this company, he will never hold a world title again. And so far, he's kept up to his word. But let's not forget, the one that started all this was Drew McIntyre. He was the one. Hey, like CM Punk said, accidents happen. If he would have just accidentally hurt CM Punk, left it alone, but because he came out with the shirt, because he started talking about how he prayed to God to hurt CM Punk, because he won the title instead of walking his happy ass right up the ramp, he wanted to showboat a little bit. And CM Punk is one of those guys that you talk to me sideways, I'm going to do something, and Damian cashed in. So all this comes from Drew, but I like where this is going. It's definitely going to be a great SummerSlam, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait for this. And honestly, Money in the Bank is gearing up to be solid on terms of anticipation. They're building everything up the way that they need to be, and I just can't wait for this summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going off of that, another thing they've been building up pretty well is this whole Liv Morgan Dominic Mysterio storyline that's been going on. And honestly, I think something that's making it a little bit more interesting than just these two building up together is a whole dynamic they've been doing with the Judgment Day, because something they didn't really even play off of that much on this episode, aside from what Pat McAfee did, was we never got an explanation of what went on with the room key. The room key, although we know Finn Balor took it, we still don't know what happened with that. So although it's almost like she took his what did he call it? His purple cowboy vest as a distraction to cover up whatever could have gone on in that hotel room.
Yeah. There's definitely, this storyline is interesting because they can go so many different ways with this Nacho. They can go so many different ways with it. And even within the Judgment Day itself with the guys, there's some guys, perfect example. The first time Dominic said she gave me her hotel key card. If you remember that segment, everybody was shocked. Like, what? No. But Carlito was like, that's cool. And they were like, no. He's like, no, that's not cool. I thought that was amazing. But there's like turmoil within them. And it's just, they keep putting Dominic in these positions, these predicaments, like him getting his jacket, unzipping Liv, and she's just standing there, her calling him daddy, happy Father's Day daddy on Twitter, all kind of stuff, man. They could go so far with this, and that's not even adding Rhea Ripley coming back. It's going to take on a whole nother layer. So I'm excited where this is going. I'm excited if Rhea comes back as the baby face, not a part of the Judgment Day. I'm excited to see if Liv becomes the leader of the Judgment Day, or if she breaks up the Judgment Day altogether. It's really interesting where this is going, but you can definitely tell there's some friction in the Judgment Day, and Liv has her fingers. She's moving them all like puppets, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If Damian is going to lose his title sometime in the future, by the time Rhea shows up again, I almost hope that it ends up being Finn who takes the title from him.
Yeah,
and it's Liv Morgan and Finn versus the Terror Twins with Dom caught in the middle. I think that could be a really cool dynamic, because something that I really liked is, although they had a little bit of butting heads before she was taken out for injury, I liked the relationship between Rhea and Damian, especially when they both had their titles. I liked that relationship, and then I feel like it kind of went away after. Well, yeah, it went away after she got injured, but that is something I would like to see them almost protecting each other as they go back after possibly Finn Balor and Liv Morgan once she returns. I think that could be something that would be really interesting as well.
Yeah, they kind of like put breadcrumbs for us when Damian said, "I just need to know, if you win the Money in the Bank, where's your head at?" Mm-hmm. And he tells him, "Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, big man. I'm coming for the title. I'm coming for the world champ." And Damian stood up to him and he was like, "Cody Rhodes." So they're leaving those nice nuggets for us. But I think you're absolutely right. If somebody takes the title off him, it would be nice to see Finn do that. Let Finn have a run with the title. I think that would be really, really cool, because I think you have Seth. He'll go after Damian. You have CM Punk and McIntyre, so that'll cancel that out. So who knows? Maybe at Bad Blood, that new PLE that they announced, maybe you can get a Finn Balor versus a Damian Priest, and Finn takes the title off him. But I'm excited to see where they go with this. But man, this is good stuff right here.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Next up, definitely what has been my favorite segments since I started watching wrestling. We didn't start off, but when we first saw the Alpha Academy with Chad Gable last night, he was going around promoting himself, pumping himself up, saying that he wanted a match tonight to earn his title shot again against Sammy. And they said, "Okay, you want a shot? You're going to have to go up against the monster himself, Braun Strowman. Of course, the monster takes out Chad. Yada, yada, yada. In turn, Chad takes out his anger on the monster on the Alpha Academy, taking away Maxine's crutch, attacking Tozawa. And who is there to stand up for his family? Otis. Boy, oh boy, we have been getting teases for this. I honestly thought it was going to happen Saturday. Happened a little bit Saturday. We had more of a standoff, but we actually had hands laid on Chad last night. What did you think when you saw Chad get literally thrown across the ring by his number one guy, Otis?
Dude, man, the crowd was so into it. That pop for Otis was insane. And I loved it. When he ripped off his shirt in the corner, oh, brother, I was like, oh, my goodness. He about to get them hands. But you saw that there was still a hesitation on Otis. There was still a hesitation because he still wants to believe that his best friend is not that cruel, you know? And you saw that hesitation as he made his way, grabbing Maxine, grabbing Tozawa, and leaving. And even in the backstage segment where he was like, where are you going? You know, he was like, we're done. We're out of here. But there was no physical altercation. There wasn't no Otis being funny or nothing. It was Otis saying, you know what? We're done. We're out of here. And there's still so many more layers to this, especially from the last time we saw Chad Gable.
But after Otis walks out with the rest of the Alpha Academy crew, we have Chad standing there yelling at them.
The family, yeah.
Supposed to be a family, but then he expelled them from the academy. He said that they're nothing without him. He said that he's huge, he's awesome, and then he said that he is going to do something that Otis could never do, and that is win Money in the Bank and win a world championship. We'll see if that is still in the cards after the next story.
Because after we saw Chad Gable, he's supposed to be in the qualifier next week. And after the last time we saw Chad Gable, he doesn't look like he's going to be qualifying for anything except for the county morgue. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that and who takes his place. Will it be Otis that gets in there? And then we got three big meaty men for that qualifier match, which will be pretty cool to see Otis in there. And all of a sudden you see a Chad Gable return and cost Otis the win. But whatever they do, I don't want to see Chad Gable next week.
Okay, fair.
We can't see him.
Yeah,
I don't think we should see him for a while.
No.
And if they do decide to go with Otis, let Otis win the qualifier. Let Otis go on to Money in the Bank. Let there be a spot where Otis is about to win, and Chad comes out and costs him the match. But don't give me Chad Gable for at least 2 weeks, tops 3 weeks, because he's in no condition after that to just be showing up next week.
No. And before we go into the final segment, I do want to show off the official poster for Money in the Bank this year. I like it. It makes me feel like a certain somebody is probably going to win with how much they've been promoting him for Money in the Bank.
Yo, man, shout out to Jay Uso, man. Jay Uso, man. Everybody thought forever that he was just a tag team specialist. And ever since he broke out solo, man, he just, no pun intended, but dude is on a different level, man. Shout out to Jay Uso. Uso is doing it big. Yep. He's doing it big. And now he is on the poster of the 2024 Money in the Bank coming on July 6th. Man, shout out to Jay Uso. Congrats, baby. Congrats.
I like the gold on him, and to play off that, Our final technical schedule of or match of the night was the qualifier match for men's Money in the Bank, the first one involving Jey Uso, Rey Mysterio, and Finn Balor. Jey Uso did end up winning, but if you looked at the time, we still had about 10 minutes to go in the night, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. And all of a sudden, as Jey Uso was celebrating in the crowd doing his yeet, the camera pans out, shows the wide shot of the arena with the Money in the Bank briefcases hanging above the ring, and all of a sudden you see the lights from the back sections of the arena shut off, and then the middle sections, and then the lights that are lighting up the ring, and it goes pitch black. And all at once, they pan to a new camera shot showing something a little bit familiar. We see the fog, we see the door, we hear the piano, and all at once, the door has been opened. They're here. It's time. There were no QR codes last night. There was a little flash when Drew McIntyre was walking.
And there was a flash. There was a flash in the opening segment of WWE. You're right. Yeah.
Yep.
But the time for the QR code that they've been putting out, the countdown, it just said, "We're here."
We're here.
And they were there.
Yep. People thought that they saw him in the background during the Seth Rollins intro segment. It could have just been security. I don't know. I didn't see any good shots from in the arena. Could have just been security. But all at once, we see somebody start crawling through the doorway, looking all contorted with a mask on. And I believe it's Nikki Cross.
Nikki Cross, absolutely.
Yep. She walks, or she crawls up to the lantern.
Now, pause 1 second. Nacho, just like you, I know that both of us were on social media on X last night, and we saw pictures going up of them setting up the door and everything. People were taking pictures of it and posting it. I right away said, well, we all know that they're there.
Yeah.
Because of the countdown clock. We know something's going to happen because now there's a door. This is taken away from the nostalgia that we're going to get when it happens. I put that in my head. I already know what's going to happen. They're going to come out. We know that. We know that. So it's not going to be a shock like it was when Bray showed up, right? But when the lights went out, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. When they showed the door, goosebumps all over my arms. And when I saw Nikki, I was like, I was already in love with it. Without seeing anything else, I was already in love with it. But keep going.
So, and I will say, it is annoying when people post stuff like that because I know there was a spot in one of the matches a couple months ago with Seth Rollins where he got launched. I think it was when he was feuding with Finn. He got launched off of like a railing, and it looked like he just fell, but somebody had filmed in the arena that he just fell on a pad. It's like, don't blow the illusion for other people, especially like while the show's still going on. If it's like this big comeback, don't do that. But so Nikki comes out, she crawls up to the lantern, she stands up, she points to backstage, and the cameraman. If I was in this horror movie situation, I would never follow this person.
Exactly.
I would have run to my car. But this person has some bravery, some balls of steel, and they got the best shot of the night. So props to them for being brave. They go backstage, and immediately, at this point, I would have turned it as well. They met with...
Not going any further.
They immediately see this giant rabbit, Eric Rowan. What is the puppet's name?
Rambling Rabbit.
Rambling Rabbit. Also, I did send this to you.
Yeah.
Before they show him, he has his back turned, and they pan down to some of the bodies that were taken out down below. Some people think they saw Gunther right there. Possibly. I'll talk about it after, but possibly. He has an animal skull on the back of his mask, which is Brody's animal skull that he wore when they were a tag team with the Sledgehammers.
Bludgeon Brothers.
The Bludgeon Brothers. That was his animal mask that he wore. So he has that on the back of his mask, which is pretty cool. He's brought back the Bludgeon Hammer. It says help on both sides. I like this design, I think, the most of the characters that we saw. I actually think this design's pretty cool. He did feature it in, I think, an Instagram tease a couple weeks ago. Just like a little glitch real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Eric, first off, man, I'm glad Eric Rowan's back in the WWE, or as he goes on the independent scene, Eric Redbeard. I think it's good that you have all new members, but one is original from the original four that they used to go like this. So it's good to have him back in the WWE. It's at this point right here, at this moment right here, I started missing Bray.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, from the four guys, right? You have, there we go, because the camera's kind of weird. Bray Wyatt passed away. Brody Lee passed away. You have Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan. So at this point right here, this is when I started missing Bray.
Yep.
Keep going, man. Let's go through this.
All right. If the cameraman didn't want to stop there, he kept walking. And we get to Gorilla, which technically we saw like an hour before when Drew walked out. And it looked spotless.
Yeah.
We saw Triple H there. We saw the general manager there with him. They're gone. The lights are popping. They're all different colors. There's screens that have different things on them. The logo for the new faction. There's more bodies on the ground. There's blood splattered on the wall. And we see something perched on this little equipment case.
Mercy the Buzzer.
Mm-hmm. Presumably Dexter Lumis, based on the very noticeable arm tats.
Yeah, definitely Dexter Lumis. So cool. I'm so glad they're doing something with Dexter Lumis, man. And I think this character, it fits him great because of the way he's already been portraying himself in the WWE and NXT. If you've seen any of his, none of his, but pictures that have been circulating through social media, he's had his hair is longer, his beard is longer. I'm excited to see what Dexter Lumis looks like without the mask. But Mercy the Buzzard is Dexter Lumis. Wow,
yep.
I'm loving it, man.
It looks like he's come down a little bit too. His arms like a little small, so I think that honestly fits the character a little bit more than being as big as he was. Yeah, this one definitely was like a little more intimidating than the first two characters to me. So I was already like, whoa.
Yeah.
Next up, cameraman goes through the curtain and is met with Huskus the pig.
Husky the pig.
Husky the pig.
And of course, by the tattoos right there, you know who it is. That's Joe Gacy. And it looks like Joe Gacy kind of bulked up a little bit. Looks like he looks a little husky. Looks a little husky.
Mm-hmm. The beard's a little longer too.
He put some muscle tone on himself. I like it. I like it a lot. And when I saw this, I was getting goosebumps because we knew there was only one more person to see. But there was somebody else we saw before we saw the leader of this group.
There was. And honestly, I didn't like the pose that he chose at first. I thought it looked like he was trying to be in like a rap video or something. Like, I don't know. But then it kind of plays into what could have gone down with this next image. We saw Chad Gable seemingly unconscious. Maybe not alive.
Very un-PG.
Yeah.
Very un-PG.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you have another image of that. But it's weird because I'm not going to say it on YouTube, and because I don't want to get flagged or nothing. But it's weird because the camera took a really close shot, Nacho, at a little hole in the side of his head, trickling with some red fluid coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, they got really close for a while.
Yeah, they did. And I looked at my son and I said, that's definitely definitely not PG. We ain't on Netflix yet, but it was. That's why we can't see Chad Gable next week. If I see Chad Gable next week, he has the power of healing, because there's no way that we should see Chad Gable. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Triple H telling us at the presser, when he gave Chad Gable his flowers and he said, and we're so glad that he's here in the WWE and he's going to be here with us for a long time to come. That means he already resigned.
Yeah.
Triple H never said that at the press conference. In my head, I'm saying they just wrote Chad Gable out the WWE.
I saw some people saying they should have done this with Ricochet, but
they should have. Yes. But remember, at one of the QR codes, when people started thinking they're going to go after Chad Gable, it was because they said, you used to say, thank you.
Thank you.
And when that happened, when that QR code said that, a lot of people were like, yo, are they going to go after Gable?
And they also, on the cover, where the trees are on that design, there was a CG. So people were saying, is it Chad Gable? Is it Chelsea Green? Chad Gable seems to be the one they chose.
Yeah,
Think about it.
And Nacho, I like the fact that they're doing this, number one, but they did tell us there was going to be a massacre.
Mm-hmm. They did.
They said it was going to be a massacre. They showed up, and they kept their promise.
Mm-hmm.
But the next image is the one that I can't wait to see.
So next up, you can really see the light coming through on the right.
You see his legs. There he is.
The man himself, Uncle Howdy, is here.
The baby brother of the Eater of the World.
Yep. This is the moment that gave me chills.
That walk he does, and he's twirling his two fingers like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then my son pointed something out that I think it was his right glove says Bray on it.
Yep. I think he's wearing the jacket they showed in the documentary too. Somebody pointed out that when you see him from behind, it looks like the jacket that was in the final Fiend costume they showed in the documentary, where it has kind of like the scales. This moment is the one that gave me the chills, because the rest of the time I was trying to figure out what's going on, and at this point we had seen everyone. They got through it, and at this point was where my mind kind of shut off, and I could fully enjoy it and take it all in, especially with the crowd's reaction when they showed him.
You know, Nacho, I recommend anybody to go on X and watch the 5-minute, 17-second clip that USA Network posted on this. And when they show him, that crowd went insane because he was finally there.
Mm-hmm.
He made that walk out. I love the way when he's walking back, he looks at Joe Gacy, like pleased of what he did. He goes on to the next one. He sees Dexter Lumis, Mercy the Buzzard, is pleased with what he did. He keeps coming through. He goes through Gorilla, goes through the curtain, sees Eric Rowan. Follow me. He goes past, and when he turns that corner and that crowd see him, they pop. And when he gets to the front, and he has the whole family with him and the lantern, I loved it, man. And for him to say, we're here, and blow it out, and then you get that Nikki running at you.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I'm glad that it's finally here. It was well worth the wait. But, Nacho, let's be honest. Would you have preferred a different city? Now let's nitpick it. Let's go ahead and be the nitpickers. Even though we're satisfied, would you have picked a different city? Would you have picked a Chicago, a New York, a Florida, an Ohio, a Pennsylvania, wrestling towns to do this debut instead of Corpus Christi?
Maybe, or at least maybe like a pay-per-view crowd. Although it would take away from the PLE. Those are the most loyal fans, I feel like. They're the ones who, I think, rather than casual Monday night fan, I think they would have maybe a little bit more of a pop.
But nonetheless, I like the way they look there.
Yeah.
And I like their merch.
The merch is cool. I have a picture of it.
Yeah, I like their merch.
I like this shot. This is actually a really cool picture.
Why it's 6 but it's like sick, but then a 6. But the question is, who's the 6th person? Some people say it's the spirit of Bray.
Yeah.
I'm thinking somebody else as part of this group, and it's just not yet pulled on who it is. Can it be Braun Strowman? Can he show that he's a member next week? Can something happen in that qualifier match where it shows he's the member? But Nacho, I've said this to you before. I've said it to my sons, and I'm going to say it again. They need to keep this faction away from any championship titles right away. Because if they put them in championship title pictures right away, number one, you got to put the titles on them, because you cannot have them lose, because then it's going to take away from this aura, this mystique, this horror team that you have, and it shows that they can be beatable. And if you put the titles on them right away, then eventually they're going to have to lose it, and they're not going to keep it for a year to 2 years. But if you keep them away from the titles for a year and a half, it makes it better. It makes it easier. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Man, I'm so geeked for this. This is so fantastic. And I miss Bray.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. This is what Bray was going to bring to us.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. This is what Bray was going to bring to us. But it looks like it's in good hands with Taylor. I think Bo's going to do an amazing job with this. Why? Because it was his brother's idea. And he, like he said in that documentary, he absolutely loves his brother. And I think he's going to do it justice. So I'm excited to see what they do with this.
Yeah. And I like that they changed up his mask. Yeah. Because you can get more of his personality. You can see more of his face. I'm wondering how much they're going to keep the masks on for the other people. And I'm also wondering. I know you like you mentioned for the 6th person. Alexa Bliss was one of the most rumored people for this group. She's not a part of it. So I'm wondering if she could be coming in the future at some point still.
And it'll be interesting because you don't see a lot of 2 women in factions. Mm-mm. And I think that'll be pretty cool. But, to go off what you said a second ago, I think that every character will have their mask on right up into their match.
Okay.
And then when their match comes, obviously Eric is not going to be fighting with that rabbit mask on. But I can see them taking everything off right up there, and I'm wondering what kind of makeup. And when I mean makeup, I'm not talking about makeup like Sting. I'm talking about makeup like maybe pale faces, more pale, or dark around their eyes, like to show like backstage or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm wondering to see what they're gonna have. We already know Dexter Lumis has that gimmick of not talking, not moving, having those crazy eyes when he's wrestling. We all know that Nikki's crazy. Mm-hmm. We all know that Joe Gacy is crazy. Mm-hmm. So, dude, this is like the perfect formula for these characters.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to breathe new life into people like Joe Gacy that's been called up from NXT. People like Dexter Lumis, who hasn't done anything since he was called up. And for Nikki Cross, who just was in La La Land for a while. So this is good. I think this is amazing. I really don't see anything wrong with this at all, Nacho.
I'm hoping that something I've seen rumored online as well is that they're going to keep this a little bit more grounded than versus doing like supernatural stuff, which I'm cool with. I just hope that they lean a lot more into some of the earlier Bray Wyatt stuff, where he was like home video, like the old type stuff.
Yeah, like when they were in the woods and stuff like that, their promos. Yeah, I think that would be great if they could do that. Yeah, but I think all of the I don't want to see I don't want to see him point and fire come down from the from the arena and burn something on the stage. I don't want to see that because when you keep it, a good horror movie is when there's none with those effects, where it's you're running from a guy in a house because he has a chainsaw.
Yeah.
That to me that's great, as opposed to somebody that does magic and is doing this and all that, because it's more believable when you keep it simple. And I'm hoping I hope they keep it simple with this. But man, it's so good. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. And just to go back to it, for anybody who doesn't know anyone we're talking about, here's a picture that shows the people. That also is the newer look for Dexter Lumis that you were mentioning, with the beard. He's got a hat on, but he does have hair grown out. Personally, I haven't seen anything from Joe Gacy in terms of any presentation, so it's going to be entirely fresh for me. I haven't seen anything from Eric Rowan, except for like some of the stuff that I went back and watched with the Bray Wyatt stuff. And then really the only thing I've been exposed to with Nikki is her pointing. But I know she had like a superhero gimmick at one point.
Yeah, but you know what? Before the superhero gimmick, Nacho, she was part of a group called Sanity. And Sanity was led by Eric Young, who is in TNA right now. Okay. And Sanity was a group of guys who they were exactly that. They were crazy. And Nikki was wild. She would run out to the ring. She would bite the middle row. She was wild. She was insane. Every time she would take a bump through chairs or something, she would laugh and scream, you know. So she was insane. Then after the Sanity thing, she gets called up to the from NXT, and she goes into that superhero gimmick, and it you know, whatever, I guess. But so this fits her well. Now Eric Rowan, he's a good tag team wrestler. He is like what Braun Strowman is. That's what Eric Rowan is. So to put him in a tag team and they just bludgeon people, that's great. Joe Gacy, an amazing wrestler. He's such an amazing wrestler, and so is Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis, when he was in TNA, a very, very underrated wrestler, a very good wrestler. And then, of course, you have Bo Dallas, who has a great mind for this business. This is a good group core of people. It really is. I think you're going to be very impressed when you see Joe Gacy, when you see Eric Rowan and Nikki Cross. I think you'll be impressed with what they can do.
I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited to see like where they go from here. Something I did mention earlier. I've seen a couple people mention this online too, so I'm not going to take credit. But it seems like they're targeting people who go against family. We saw Chad Gable, who he fully turned his back on his family last night. What happens? Gets a hole in his head. If it was truly Gunther, he just turned his back on Giovanni. If I know somebody said they saw Carmelo, he turned his back on Drew, I guess. That's a push to me, but it makes sense at least with people. If they're going after people who turn their back on family, he just turned his back on his family. I think that could be an interesting play once they do bring him back as an explanation, or even while he's gone, if that's their explanation. And I'm also curious to see how the actual Alpha Academy will react to this.
Yeah. It's interesting, and here's my take on it. I've heard a lot of people, they were like, oh, that was this person laid out, and that was this person laid out. Me, personally, I'm going to be honest with you, I just saw a bunch of security guys. The one that they mainly focused on was Chad Gable. I think that if it was Gunther, they would have made sure people knew this is Gunther. If it was Carmelo Hayes, they would have made people know this is Carmelo Hayes. That way, people are not speculating who's who. But they made sure we knew that this was Chad Gable. Gunther is too big of a star for them to just breeze by and not really show him or whatnot. I think it was just a bunch of independent talent or security guys, man. I mean, think about it. How would you have felt if it was Gunther, it was Carmelo Hayes, along with Chad Gable? They also laid out the general manager. They also laid out Triple H. Now it's like this group against the whole company. There's no babyface. There's no heels. It's just this group against the whole company. So to keep it where we've attacked one person, and even if it is the reason where you turn your back on family, then you can go ahead and get a Carmelo Hayes. You turn your back on family. You said that Trick Williams was your family. Then you can go ahead and try to get after a Gunther saying, hey, you turn your back on family. You said the Imperium was a family. Then you could do that. But I think to just do it all at once, I mean, now you're going to have I don't know. It just it didn't seem right, but we'll see what happens. It keeps us wondering till next week. We got to wait till next Monday to figure out to see what else is going to happen on this story.
We do. And last thing before we wrap this up, because you did mention the general manager. If you looked at his Twitter's different. And I think his bio caption now says, like, remember. People are saying that he's remembering who he truly is or something from his history.
Well, he was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, he was a very good wrestler. Go on YouTube and see some of his matches. He was a very good wrestler, Nacho. Like, he should have been in the WWE. He had a lot of great matches with some people in the WWE that are in the top tier of wrestling, of WWE wrestling. But so is Nick Aldis. But that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to check out his social. I wonder what that means. I wonder what he's doing. Huh. You see? There's more layers to peel off of this. I'm excited man. I'm excited to see where this goes, buddy. But that's all we got, man. Quick episode. We just wanted to get on here, talk about that. We're going to get into some things. We're going to follow up this episode. Hopefully in the next couple of days, get together for another one. There's a lot of things going on. We need to talk about WWE now having a relationship with other promotion companies. This is good. Are we going to see AJ Styles in TNA? Oh, man. What about that battle
tonight on NXT?
Yeah. What about that battle royal? Are we going to see, if you say his name, he shows up? Are we going to see Joe Henry in the battle royal? Could we see a Moose coming over to NXT? It's a lot of things that can happen now that WWE has opened up, not the forbidden door. Man, they blew down this forbidden door. So it's excited to see what they are going to be doing. It's good. Is Ricochet gone for good? I don't know. Why would they talk about Ricochet and show everything? They didn't have to go in depth with Samantha Irving, and she wasn't there last night. If you're writing Ricochet off TV and out of the company, I know his contract's up in June or July or whatever, but you could easily just not mention him again, and everyone would have forgot. But they keep mentioning it. It's exciting to see what's going to happen. So, is he going over to AEW, or did he decide, you know what, staying in WWE? There's a lot of things we need to get into. We're going to get a list together. we'll talk to each other and come up with a nice show for you guys, and hopefully do it within the next few days. Nacho, got anything to say before we're out?
Nah, I just hope everybody enjoyed this episode. It's been too long, but I'm glad we're back. And I can't wait to talk more about the stuff that's coming in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. You can follow us on all social media platforms. Just click in the bios and you'll be able to see everything from X to Twitter to Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. We got it all covered. And of course, right here on YouTube with the Curtain Call Podcast, like Prince Nana said, the number one podcast. And you know, if the Prince said it, it has to be true. So from my boy Nacho, I'm your boy, the Spanish Fly. Throw it up if you got me too sweet, baby. Yeah. And remember that here at the Curtain Call Podcast, man, we always pick out at 2. Run.